On a quiet block of the glittering city, Skye, ordinary but stubbornly daydreaming, blundered into the orbit of the business empire's ice-cold ruler, Lucas, through nothing more than a wrong turn. That afternoon she had only come to the Grand to drop off some documents for a friend. Unbeknownst to her, Lucas was hosting an invitation-only gala inside. The security was tight, the marble corridors dripping with chandeliers. While hunting for her friend's suite, she stumbled through a side door and found herself smack in the middle of the ballroom. Her simple white sundress looked almost alien among the sequined couture and glittering diamond suites. Conversation drained away like music at the flip of a switch. Every head swiveled toward her. Lucas stood dead center. Tailored black suit cutting a sharp silhouette against the crystal lights. Shoulders wide, posture blade straight. His eyes, deep and winter cold, narrowed. "Who are you?" he demanded, voice low and rimmed with frost. "And how did you get in here?" The question flustered her. I'm looking for someone. I took a wrong turn. I'm really sorry." The apology sounded paper-thin under the weight of so many stares. Murmurs rose around her like a tide. Lucas closed the distance with measured steps, each one compressing the air until it seemed to hum. He stopped a breath away, studying her as if she were a balance sheet that refused to tally. "Looking for someone," he scoffed. "This isn't a place you wander into by accident." Indignation flickered through her, but she lifted her chin and met his glare. "I know it was my mistake, but I didn't do it on purpose." Just then her friend rushed in, flushed and apologetic, explaining everything. The dissolved. Yet the impression lingered, 40 pairs of eyes still pinned to Skye, and Lucas's glacial stare etched itself into her memory. Lucas assumed the incident would blow over like a summer squall. The uninvited girl would drift out of his life as lightly as she drifted in, leaving his routines, boardroom takeovers, strategy dinners, champagne toasts with senators, utterly unchanged. He thought he would forget her before the ice in his scotch melted. Fate, however, had other choreography. A week later, noon glare bouncing off glass towers. Traffic snarled at every light. Lucas idled in the back seat of his black. Window cracked. Collar loosened. Mind still crunching numbers from the quarterly forecast. A flash of familiar white caught his eye. Skye, standing on the riverside sidewalk. Arm laced through the elbow of a frail, silver-haired woman who tapped a cane uncertainly against the curb. Skye bent slightly, speaking close to the woman's ear. Smile soft and unforced. The kind city cynics dismiss as myth. Sunlight gilded the hem of her dress. She looked like she'd stepped out of an untainted corner of the world. Lucas forgot the spreadsheet glowing on his phone. Time stretched while Skye escorted the stranger across 6 lanes of impatient steel and fumes. He felt something loosen in his chest. An unfamiliar loosening, like parched earth cracking under the first drop of rain. In his universe, kindness always came itemized. This was different, involuntary, dangerous. After that, his peripheral vision seemed permanently tuned to her frequency. He learned, without meaning to, where she bought blueberry pancakes on Sundays, which first edition novels she dog-eared at the tiny bookstall, the exact hour she hummed past Hawthorne on her way to a midtown startup. Some evenings his driver cruised the block twice. Lucas telling himself it was only curiosity, nothing more, while he scanned the sidewalk for a white sundress and a quicksilver smile. Once he admitted the truth to himself, the curtain rose on a campaign so lavish it could have financed a Broadway revival. Dawn after dawn, long before the city yawned itself awake, Skye would find a bouquet of red roses propped against the brass railing at Hawthorne. Velvet petals, dew still clinging, scent so rich it drifted up the limestone facade. Nestled among the blossoms lay a handwritten note that carried only 3 words, for Skye. At first, when the anonymous red roses showed up on the dot every single morning, Skye assumed some bored admirer was playing a prank. She'd wrinkle her nose, half annoyed and half baffled, and dump the bouquet in a random corner of Hawthorne, letting the petals wither while she went on with her day. But days slid by like quiet water, and the roses never missed a sunrise. They kept landing in the same spot, a stubborn little lighthouse of love that refused to go dark. Slowly, the shrug she'd worn hardened into curiosity that spread like spring weeds until she couldn't ignore it. Who was dogged enough to send flowers every day? What story, what feeling, lived behind the mystery? And that was only the tip of Lucas's campaign. Along with the daily roses, extravagant gifts snowed down on her. One morning a global exclusive handbag arrived, every stitch screaming couture, nestled in a lacquered box so glossy she could see her stunned reflection. Another day a diamond suite showed up, a necklace that caught the ceiling lights like shattered stars, a bracelet whose stones glowed soft and deep, every gem looking like it remembered every promise ever whispered. Once, couriered in a velvet envelope, she found VIP passes to the arena concert she'd been dying to attend, more than tickets. They were a passport to stand pressed against the stage and feel the bass in her ribs. The lavish cascade rattled her. She knew the price tag on each gesture and, worse, the emotional weight inked into it. Yet her small-town reflexes flinched at the excess. She tried to ship everything back, quizzing coworkers, cornering reception, even driving to the distribution hub that served Hawthorne, hunting for a sender's name. Each search hit a wall. The gifts might as well have dropped from some secret love-struck galaxy. Leaving her surrounded by boxes she lacked the strength to refuse. But nothing blindsided her like the evening he played chauffeur. Dusk had painted the sky in neon watercolor when she trudged out of Hawthorne, earbuds dangling, heading for the bus stop as usual. A sleek black slid to the curb, quiet as a panther. The tinted window glided down, revealing Lucas's unfairly perfect profile, eyes hot enough to scorch the leather interior. "Get in. I'm taking you home." The order arrived clipped, final, as though city ordinances backed it up. Skye's pulse stuttered. "Lucas, honestly, the bus is fine. This isn't a debate." His brow twitched. The door unlocked with a velvet thunk. She obeyed, knees weak. Inside smelled of new hide and cedar. Instead of relaxing into its luxe hush, she hugged her tote like a life raft. 10 minutes of silence felt like 10 miles. He asked about her week. She answered in mumbles. He offered commentary on a mayoral scandal. She nodded at the window, counting traffic lights until Riverside. Still, every dawn those red roses kept coming, and every nightfall the black idled curbside, until the routine began to feel almost normal. The diamonds winked at her from their case. The handbag hung ready in her closet. The memory of that concert, where he had stood beside her, coat draped over her shoulders when the arena cooled, played on loop. Brick by brick, her defenses thinned. She caught herself glancing at the elevator, pulse quickening when doors slid open to reveal his tailored black suit. She noticed the way he let her reach the single origin pour-over first. How he read the financials with rimless glasses he never wore in public. How the flickering candles at Bloom Ridge had been her favorite scent, not his. Somewhere between the 30th bouquet and the 40th ride home, the impossible became simple. She was waiting for him as much as he was waiting for her. And tomorrow's rose suddenly felt like a promise she no longer wanted to return. Fate, however, has a habit of playing cruel tricks. The spring sunshine days didn't last. Almost as soon as their love left the runway, it flew into a violent storm. Wings battered by wind and wall after wall of thorns. Skye had always been an ordinary girl, dreams tucked in her back pocket, nose to the grindstone. Life had been nothing sensational, yet gratifyingly full. Who could have guessed that sealed-over history would be clawed up, twisted, and plastered across every screen by the tabloids overnight? Baseless rumors and toxic assumptions crashed toward her like a rogue tide. Some malice-driven whisper campaign claimed she had once schemed to entrap powerful men, painting her as a gold-digging opportunist. Others, even uglier, insisted she sidled up to Lucas solely to siphon the Hawthorne billions and crown herself Cinderella of Riverdale. The gossip sprouted wings, flapping down every street until the entire city hummed with it, trapping Skye in the eye of a swirling media cyclone. At the same instant, Lucas's family dropped a bunker-busting bomb on the romance. Hawthorne, Riverdale's monarch of finance and real estate, carried ironclad matrimonial rules and antique notions of pedigree. Lucas's mother, formidable, always perfectly erect in her Chanel skirt suits, issued an immediate, blazing veto. In her gilded lexicon, Skye was merely some nobody whose family resume. And finishing school deficit sat whole galaxies below the Hawthorne crest. Such a girl, she declared, could only smear disgrace across their marble name. She ordered her son to sever every thread tying him to Skye before the gutter snipe could pick the family coffers clean. She's nothing but a fortune hunter, and you will not let her dazzle you. Hawthorne snapped, icy syllables whistling like arrows straight through the fragile membrane around their hearts. Facing the typhoon of slander and this palace high pressure, the once rock-solid rampart of Lucas and Skye's love started to fracture. Warm memories were erased by suspicion and shouting matches that scorched the walls. One night Lucas, eyes bloodshot, studied her as though she were a stranger. "Tell me straight. Did you come after me for what they say you did?" His voice cracked. Doubt flickered in the depths before he could hide it. Skye felt the words slam into her ribcage. Tears welled, turning the world liquid. "How could you think that? I thought you knew me." Each syllable shook, drenched in hurt. She had never imagined the man who once memorized her coffee order could be poisoned by gossip so quickly. A few days later, after a fight brutal enough to rattle the glass panes, Skye's heart finally shattered. She stumbled out of the penthouse that had echoed with laughter only weeks earlier and drifted down cold sidewalks. Night had clamped over the city, neon bled crimson and cobalt across wet asphalt, but no color could thaw the ice lodged inside her. She dragged her sleeve across her eyes, tears kept coming, and felt the whole relationship dissolve into mirage. The love she'd cradled had been smashed to glittering dust, scattered by an unforgiving wind, leaving only emptiness to balloon inside her chest. Later, Lucas drowned in regret sharp enough to cut lungs. He replayed every accusation and winced at his own gullibility. Skye was the axis of his universe. Nothing else spun without her. Determined to scrape together the shards, he chose a moon-washed night and drove her to Bloomridge, a private tract of land he'd sown with 1,000,000 bulbs. Under a chandelier of stars he led her down a crushed granite path until crimson, ivory, and buttery blooms pressed in from every side. He stopped, cupped her cold hands, and steadied his breath. Skye, I was an idiot. I let rumors and family noise blind me. I doubted you, and I'll never forgive myself for that. But I swear on every flower in this field, I love you. Past, present, future, whatever the story. You're my favorite chapter. Please come home. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but these were cleansing. I forgive you, but we have to promise. No more distrust. Ever. They sealed the vow with a kiss that tasted of salt. Petals drifting around them like confetti as they held each other until the horizon blushed pale. Once the air cleared, their love re-entered on wings of gold. Lucas, now eager to spoil her, commissioned a corner office inside Hawthorne just for Skye. He filled it with plump velvet chairs, a wall of first edition novels, and rows of succulents basking under skylights. Whenever her shoulders tightened over spreadsheets, he ghosted in with a single origin pour-over in one hand and a plate of rose-flavored macarons in the other. Baby, save the world after you breathe for a second, he'd murmur, thumbs kneading the knots along her clavicles. Life became a string of small miracles he engineered. One casual lunch, she mentioned loving hand-pulled taffy her grandpa used to buy at county fairs. The next afternoon, a courier delivered a striped paper bag still warm from a 3-hour road trip Lucas had personally made that morning. Together they stitched a quilt of ordinary moments, early morning blueberry pancakes shaped like hearts, lazy Sundays reading on sunset, flickering candles in every room just because. Each tiny proof of attention became another brick in the rebuilt fortress of their love, higher and brighter than it had ever stood before. Skye looked at him, eyes shining. How can you be this good to me? Lucas smiled. As long as you're happy, anything I do is worth it. Under his gentle care, Skye grew into a woman who carried herself with quiet confidence. She no longer felt the sting of inferiority when she stood beside him. Instead, she walked at his side, an equal partner against whatever life threw their way. They became the couple everyone in Riverdale and Eastbrook whispered about with pure envy. But happiness never stays on a straight path. Trouble brewed inside the Hawthorne dynasty. A handful of ambitious insiders began weaving secret alliances, siphoning funds, planting rumors, anything to push Lucas out and claim the throne for themselves. The crisis hit Lucas like a tidal wave. For the first time, the cold, unshakable CEO felt the weight of true anxiety. Still, he refused to bend. He called emergency board meetings, worked through the night poring over encrypted ledgers, and faced the insurgents head-on. Skye knew he needed an anchor. She slipped into the role of his fiercest ally without hesitation. Armed with nothing more than her razor-sharp mind and an unbreakable will, she dug through Hawthorne's buried files, tracing ghost transactions and photographing shadow signatures. She stayed up until dawn cross-referencing spreadsheets, brewing pot after pot of single-origin pour-over to keep her eyes open. When the plotters invited Lucas to a negotiation in a shuttered riverside warehouse, Skye insisted on going with him. Mid-meeting, they seized her, hoping to blackmail Lucas into signing away his voting shares. Bound and masked, she still managed to tear a button from one captor's coat and wedge it into the trunk seam of their getaway car, an obscure clue that led Lucas straight to the safe house. The next morning, federal agents stormed the location, and Skye walked out into Lucas's arms, dusty but unbroken. Together they had short-circuited a coup. The board purged the traitors, and the Hawthorne name emerged unscorched. If anything, the battle fused Lucas and Skye into something unbreakable. After the storm, Lucas refused to let work steal another second. He cleared his calendar, handed daily operations to a trusted circle of VPs, and devoted himself to Skye's world. When her design studio landed in a bidding war, he stayed up rehearsing presentation strategies, feeding her blueberry pancakes between slides. When she simply needed air, he booked 2 seats on the next flight to Sunset, arranged a private villa at the Grand, and filled the suite with her favorite first edition novels stacked next to flickering candles. One winter afternoon, Skye collapsed with a severe case of strep. Lucas canceled an entire merger negotiation, parked himself in the hospital armchair, and learned how to make her grandmother's chicken soup from a YouTube video. He spoon-fed her every drop, whispering, "Baby, get well soon. I'm no good without you." She recovered 3 days faster than the doctors predicted. They had already survived the unthinkable. Now they wanted the promise that would quiet every every remaining fear. On the first warm Saturday of spring, Lucas drove Skye to Sunset. The tide had swept the sand smooth, and a rose petal carpet stretched from the boardwalk to a white arch wrapped in red roses and silk ribbons. Balloons bobbed in the sea breeze, and a heart woven from fairy lights glowed beneath the arch. Lucas led her down the petal path, then dropped to one knee. The 5-carat cushion-cut ring caught the sunlight like liquid fire. Skye, from the moment you stumbled into that ridiculous gala, my life pivoted toward you. We've laughed, cried, fought, and won, together. I don't want a single sunrise without you beside me. Will you marry me? Tears slipped down her cheeks as she nodded. Yes, of course I will. He slid the ring onto her finger, stood, and lifted her off the sand while their friends erupted in cheers that competed with the crashing waves. Their wedding filled Bloom Ridge with so many roses that the air turned perfume sweet. Skye floated down the aisle in lace. Lucas waited in a tailored black suit, eyes shining. They vowed, they kissed, they danced until the moon hung low. From that day on, they called each other husband and wife with the same awe other people reserve for shooting stars. Lucas became the CEO who left the office at 5. Every dawn he brewed fresh single origin pour-over, carried a tray upstairs, and woke her with a soft morning. Hawthorn, blueberry pancakes are getting cold. Evenings found them side by side on the kitchen island, chopping vegetables while Spotify played low, trading jokes about whose day was more chaotic. Birthdays turned into productions, macarons in every flavor, surprise trips on the black with the privacy screen up, fireworks over sunset that spelled her name. Skye returned the devotion in quiet ways, slipping annotated first edition novels into his briefcase, learning to pull hand-pulled taffy in his favorite coffee blend flavor, massaging the tension from his shoulders after marathon board meetings. They argued over wallpaper patterns, adopted a rescue dog that hogged the bed, and learned the precise way the other liked toothpaste squeezed. Through market surges and family spats, sick pets and rainy Mondays, they kept choosing each other every single morning, every single night. Riverdale and Eastbrook still talk about the billionaire and the girl who crashed his party, but the stories always end the same. Two people who refuse to let anything, money, scandal, ambition, tear them apart. Skye and Lucas simply call it ordinary life. The kind measured in blueberry pancakes, shared toothbrushes, and the quiet certainty that neither of them will ever walk any path alone.